you want to get anything done, you just call her.
True.
Yeah, so we did want to thank Carla and Maddie here at the Tropic Cinema because they offered this to us this year when we lost our home, and we're so excited to be here. I think it's a great venue for this event. So next year we just have to like triple the amount of people that come. So hopefully it won't be pouring down rain. But yeah, so this way it'll be good for everyone. And I hope you all bought lots of popcorn, and there is wine and champagne out there, so make sure you get that. All right. And I wanted to thank Susan Kent because she's going to be doing the history of Womenfest. We were talking about that earlier, how long we've been around this event for so many years and seeing all the different phases of it, I guess you could call it. Let's see. So most of the artists and a lot of the poets have been grant recipients from the Amici Artist Fund over the years. And it's so exciting for us, being on the Amici board, to see where everyone's careers have gone since they started. I mean, I think almost every one of you have gotten a grant over the years of some sort from us. But I just wanted to do a list real quick of the artists. So Suzanne D'Antonio, Armida Averett is in her 80s. She did that parrot out there, the blue parrot. So she's the oldest woman that's painting out there. Susanna Burke, Bethany Rodden, Danny Hoy, Madge Johnson, Fran Decker, Gail Upmall, Chelsea Smith, Margot Z. Ellis, who's here tonight. Bethany's also here because she's a poet. And then Mally Weaver, who's off in Tanzania, so.
Wow.
Anyways, and do you want me to announce your poets that we'll be reading, or are you going to do that later?
You can say those
I can?
if you like.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, this is all ad libs. So Ja Love will be our MC for the poetry session this evening. And we have our poet laureate of Key West, Emily Schulten Weekly. Did I get it right? Okay, good. Genevieve Asapa, Cricket, oh gosh, Damaris, in Italian, Desmaris. Bethany Rodden, Fritzy Estamond, is Chantal here? Chantal is. Chantal made it, yeah. I'm not even gonna try that. Pavero? Pavageau, I don't know French. Sherry Lohr, who has been around poetry with me with the Robert Frost Poetry Festival many years ago. Oh, and here's another one. Sarah Goodwin.
Well done.
And then Sabai Sakaya Ki Tahetep. Did I get it? Close, okay. So I first, though, want to bring up Susan Kent, who's going to give you a brief history of the Womenfest event. And it's really interesting to see where we've come from. So please welcome Susan Kent.
Well, thanks for all showing up tonight to hear about this very interesting history of Womenfest. I hope you're going to take notes because there will be a quiz at the end. No, just kidding. So I want to just ask quickly, how many of you are local, with show of hands? And how many of you are visiting for Womenfest from out of town? Let's see who came the farthest. Where did you all come from?
New Jersey.
Jersey? Can anybody beat Jersey? Nope. No? Jersey's the farthest? Rhode Island? Okay. So I can remember years ago when we had this, and we sometimes had people that were traveling internationally, believe it or not. I don't think we can expect that anytime soon again, but and we all know why. But it was always interesting to see the different ages of women and where people came from to get here. Have any of you been to Womenfest before that are here tonight that are from out of town? Roberta's never been before. Alrighty. Well, Womenfest started as kind of a bright idea with the Key West Business Guild. A guy named Walt Marlowe. I promise I'm not drunk. Yet, of the Key West Business Guild. He first approached a local entrepreneur, Lynn Parker, that's Lynn over here on the left, and asked her and some other local women about hosting a Women's Week in Key West. He had just come back from Russian River, where there was a very successful Women's Weekend, and he had heard of the Women's Week that's up in Provincetown every year. The Guild was trying to build events at the time. You know, their mission was to increase gay tourism, lesbian tourism, and they also wanted to make people, you know, feel welcome here year round. But by having special events that drew attention to Key West, that helped that too. Am I not moving here? Yep. That'll be fine. The meetings that were held on the new lesbian bar, at the time it was the new lesbian bar on Apple Roof Lane, the 416 Cafe. Sadly, if you drive by there today, there's not even a building on the site. So that's another part of our history that we've lost. But that was a women's bar that was owned by Jean Colton, Mary Quinn, and Deborah Stretch Frew. Everybody called her Stretch. Her first name is Deborah. But Deborah was also interesting to be Fantasy Fest queen the first year I moved here in 1991. She was a busy girl. She was kind of the welcoming committee at the 416 Cafe. Anybody that was new to town would come in and she would introduce you all around. And it was just a very small grassroots group that really put this together. The women just all worked together. Some of them were business owners. Some of them just, you know, had a great event planning. So they just got together and did it. The Business Guild, you know, backed them for the first several years it was run by the Business Guild. But that group named the event Women in Paradise. And it went under that name for some time. Of course, the events then included the cocktail parties, snorkel excursions. They had a play, a golf tournament at the Key West Golf Club. We don't do that anymore. And a Miss Key West contest. You can see this old picture that I think Rude Girl provided that to the Business Guild, and I shared it from their page. But that shows all the things that they were doing. They had Margot Gomez was here, Lucy Blue Tremblay, Patty Larkin. So, you know, even at the very beginning, they had some great performers and comedians. They had a gallery walk, so the art was already there. They had a street fair. That's kind of an interesting story over the years. You may notice there's not a street fair this year. Did you also notice what the weather's like? There's your answer. The main point was to try to have something for everyone. So they tried to have sports, cultural events, and just lots of fun. This is just a newspaper article that I found back in the archives from, I think, 91 or 92. There was a flag football league that formed in 91. So that wasn't there the first year, but in the first few years, they did have flag football every year. They had a play for the first several years. I'd asked several people. I went back and talked to Stretch recently, and she couldn't remember the name of the first play. So there's another local woman named Cynthia Enright that I spoke with, and she had some pictures from the play and stuff, and she couldn't remember which was the first one either. So we know that they did several different plays. This was one of them. But this apparently was the first play. So these gals here, and I recognize Kathy Court is the third one from the left, and Kathy Kirkpatrick was the fifth one over, and that girl up the end, her first name was Randy, but I can't remember, I don't know the rest of them. I wasn't here yet. I missed the first 5 years. Oh, me. So there's some more pictures from the first play. And yes, there was even a wet t-shirt contest. Talk about politically incorrect, right? Well, they didn't have it the first year from what I can find out. I don't know when it was added to the schedule, but it was a very popular event. The best thing about a wet t-shirt contest at Atlantic Shores was it was a clothing optional resort, so you had to put on a t-shirt to play the game.
Yes, right.
Remember? Yeah. How many of you were ever here for that t-shirt contest? Guilty as charged, okay. But yeah, in 1993, the Guild decided to turn all of their events over to private entities, or as many as they could. They had a bad experience with an art festival, and they lost a ton of money. So it kind of scared them into having the ownership of all these events. Vicki had done such a great job as the chair that they said, "You want to just run it for us?" And she said, "I'll take it over." But then she was the one that was liable for the whole thing. She had to come up with the funding, and she had to, of course, if there was any profit in it, which there wasn't much, she got that. Now, Vicki was listening to all the people who were making great suggestions. So she's like, I'm in charge of Women's Week now. What does everybody want? And all the school teachers and administrators told her she should have it earlier in the summer so they could come. So Vicki said, great, I'll have it in July. And she did. That was the last Women in Paradise. Very last one. It just didn't have the great attendance. They hadn't built up a reputation for having an event in July. And Jacqueline Harrington stepped in. And I'll have to confess, Jacqueline and I were partners at the time. So there were two Womenfests in 1993. Jacqueline had also worked on the steering committee. Huh?
I said, I remember when your hair was that color.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. It was short and dark, wasn't it? That's really me, I promise.
Yes.
But she was a very smart businesswoman, and she realized that there was already a built-in audience in September that was coming. And she said she's going to hold a Womenfest. She came up with the name. She did all the advertising and planned all the events. And I have to admit, she kind of just did what she wanted to do. If it was an event that she would want to go to, that's what she had. She was really well known for thinking out of the box. So one of the events, and here we go with the political incorrectness again, she did a strip club bar crawl. It was originally supposed to be a van with some cigars, and we figured maybe a dozen women. Personally, I'm not really comfortable in the strip clubs, but Jacqueline loved them. Loved them. We went out one night and I was a little bit inebriated and didn't realize that she was holding money behind my head the whole time. I couldn't understand why all the women were sitting in my lap and trying to motorboat me. But she did love the strip clubs and she loved cigars. And we got such a huge response, we had to turn it into a walking tour. There was probably close to 100 women. And there was at the time, I think, 3 strip clubs in town. And Jacqueline approached each one of the owners and got them to let us in, women only, for an hour. And then we went to the next bar and they got their first drink free. So there was a ticket at each bar when you came in to get a drink. Those girls had the best time. I was kind of shocked, honestly. I had girls that, would never have acted that way at home, but it was like they could really cut loose. They were here in Key West, and everybody just had a good time. And it didn't hurt that half of the strippers were lesbians.
Yeah.
Was as usual. Another really fun event that we're having again this year at prom, but we hadn't had one before, so Jacqueline decided that we'd have a prom. The prom you could never go to because this was back in the 90s when it was against the law to get married if you're gay or adopt children if you live in Florida if you're gay.
Yeah.
So we were taking some trips and stuff, and every time we'd go to hit a new town, we'd hit up the thrift shops and buy up ball gowns and old tuxedos. So we came back and we set up a little table in front of the Cobra on Duval Street, and we sold the gowns and stuff to try to promote the prom, and it was very much fun. They're not here tonight. Bonnie we've lost recently, but Mitzi Crable and her partner Bonnie arrived, and they were the hit of the night. They had on big crinolines and roller skates, and I don't think I'll ever forget that. This was again the years of Jacqueline Harrington. This was just a friend of mine from out of town, and myself and Jacqueline and one of the comedians we hired, Shankar. She lives out in Palm Springs now. And of course, we had all the usual stuff: sunset sales, parties, comedy shows, musicians, flag football games, golf, and the street fair. Yep, at that time we still had a street fair. In 1999, Jacqueline lost her mom, and it hit her pretty hard, so she decided that she really didn't have the wherewithal to produce Womenfest that year. And the local businesses were a little bit upset about that. She was a little surprised, really, at the response that people counted on that event so much. But the Shores approached her and said that they would like to run the event. She was at first a little bit resistant, but realized that she couldn't do it, and we finally came to an agreement. I chaired the event so that Jacqueline still had her hand in it. And we weren't partners anymore by this time, but we still worked together on a lot of events. So they stepped in, and then they ran it for the next, I think, 5 years until about 2007 they were involved in it. But they had a whole different approach to marketing. Because it's a private business and a private entity, the events seemed to get a little bit smaller. They didn't have as many sponsors outside of their own pockets and stuff that we had been able to get before. But Lori Tebow was Well, here's just some merch and some signs from the shores. And there's Katie Kim. Captain Katie was half of the team that basically produced the event. And then Lori Tebow, who you've all seen just recently, maybe last night at the opening party. But she ran all of the events for the whole week, pretty much single-handedly. And I have to hand it to her because she did a great job of it. But eventually the Shores had decided that they knew that they weren't going to be lasting much longer, so they wanted to get back and involve the community more instead of just holding it entirely themselves. So they got back in bed with the Business Guild.
Greg McGrady.
Yep, there's Greg,
Vicky.
Icky, Barbara,
Lou,
Lori Tebow,
Lori.
Sandy, myself, Terry Johnston, yep, and Deborah. Yep. I still remember all their names. God, I am old, but I still remember a few things.
Who's on the end in the blue?
That's Deborah
Oh, Stretch?
Butler.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
oh, Deborah Butler.
Yeah,
Ah.
a long time ago.
Mhm.
But at that time, we once again went into more of a steering committee, so there were more people in the community involved. We had a lot more involvement and input from the community, and the guild was really, eager to get back into holding this event and making it grow again. So in I think it was 2007, the Shores did finally close, and the Business Guild took complete control of the event again. So it was full circle. It started with the guild, it came back to the guild. The guild hired Rebecca Tomlinson, who some of you may know.
Yeah.
She is something else. I tell you what, I worked with her for several years on Womenfest, and she is a dynamo. She put together one of the best marketing campaigns, and she squeezed every dollar until it bled to get us sponsorships. We had, Curve Magazine and Olivia Cruises and a lot of the big national companies were helping us, Budweiser. So we were rolling in the dough. We had a lot of locally owned hotels that donated rooms to us so we could bring in comedy and musicians and have free places for them to stay. That helped a lot. But that's when the guild took it back over. And here's Roberta's favorite picture coming up. Wow. Whoops. Oh no, Roberta, I want that picture.
Keep going.
No, it's not cooperating with me. Wait a second. It's just not going to do it, is it?
Doesn't like to back up.
Oh, we just gotta look at Fritzy.
Now you just have to look at Fritzy. That's not such a bad thing to look at, is it? I don't know what I'm doing. I think it just stopped. It just locked up on me too. Give me 1 second for the technical difficulties. I'm sorry. I don't want subtitles. Oh.
That would be.
Yeah, that is pearls. I apologize, folks.
Are you able to manipulate it with the arrows at the bottom?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm having a hard time seeing everything. Really.
Well,
It actually said there's
network.
So there
Yeah.
may be,
Well, I shouldn't have to be online to get this, though. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why it's frozen up on me. But basically, I can wrap it up for you anyway. I don't want to keep you here all night. I'll just tell you what happened. Here's what happened. Basically, Rebecca became the executive director of the Business Guild and continued to help us run Womenfest for years. And over the years, we've had other people involved in it, obviously. But as most of you know, Fritzy's been the star of the show and running the whole thing for many years now. Fritzy, where you at? Are you tired yet? And it's not like Fritzy didn't do anything before Womenfest or she won't do anything after Womenfest. She's busy all the time. But this week it's particularly challenging. I talked to her the other day and I was like, so Fritzy, how are you going to be in 2 places at one time? We haven't figured out how to clone you yet, but she has somehow managed to make every event, so got to give her a big hand on that. So now the guild, really I should turn it over to Fritzy because now the guild does great events. Fritzy did a great job of putting together a lot of funding from very little resources. We don't have the big national sponsors that we used to have. I looked at some of the sponsors in the guide, and it looks like we have mostly local sponsorships, which is a good thing too. And I was really glad to see a lot of the local businesses and a lot of local women get involved.
Corporate sponsors aren't the same,
No, they're not. They're not. It makes a difference.
including Olivia, by the way.
No, it's true. It's true. It's different when you do get corporate sponsorships. You have to answer to them, and it does change things around. So, like I said, I was glad to see that there's a lot of local sponsorships, and hopefully that'll keep on going. So keep enjoying all the parties despite the rain. I know you're not getting out on the sunset sail or to the pool party, but we're trying to keep you with fun things to do all week, all through the weekend. So I hope you have a great time and enjoy the rest of Womenfest. And I'm sure after that you're ready to hear some poetry.
Woohoo! Good evening, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for coming out to our event this evening in spite of this terrible rain. Beautiful rain, wonderful, wet, in our faces rain. The Key West Poetry Guild has been around for 50 years, a little bit longer than Womenfest. We are excited to be participating in Womenfest again. This is our 4th year hosting an all-women poetry reading. And of course, we meet the first Sunday of every month at 7 p.m. at 327 Elizabeth Street, which is the Christian Science Reading Room. We welcome poets at all stages of their careers. We do not critique, but we do hold a safe and open space for people to share original work. So I'd like to just take a moment to provide a land acknowledgement. And that is to acknowledge that we are on the unceded lands of the First Nation peoples, including the Calusa, Taino, Seminole, and Muskogee peoples. We honor their heritage and thank them for their millennia of stewardship, and ask that our creative works be a benefit to the whole of the human family today and forward.
Yes.
So my question to you all is, how do you motivate a strong woman to do something challenging? Tell her not to. I want to give a shout out. I'd hoped to see her, but is Jay Sommers here with us tonight? Our fearless leader of the Conch Republic. I want to give her a little bit of a shout out because she has been standing on our crosswalk as the Rainbow Warrior crosswalk guard. And we thank her for that. She is a fearless leader for sure. And amongst Key West women, we're thankful for her for certain. It is fantastic being back again this year, and we are glad to be celebrating One Human Family in Womenfest. I'd like to kick off our first poet and welcome to the stage Miss Emily Schulten.
Who's going to be the first one to tell me the microphone is not close enough to my face? Anyway, it's there. The last reading I did, I dropped it. So we're already winning. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here, for braving the elements to be here for poetry. I have just a few poems I'm going to read. The first two I'm going to read are from this book, which is called The Way a Wound Becomes a Scar, and it's largely about a transplant, and also this sort of redemption that being a kidney donor can give a person who is suffering something else, something more emotional. But it has a thread of Egyptian lore in it. So this one's called The Myth of the Ib, which is Egyptian for heart. The Myth of the Ib. When I told you they would cut my kidney out, we made jokes of it, neither of us saying what both of us thought. that if only we could live without the heart instead, or could take the hearts of the dead, make them work inside of us. Because we'd made such shit of ours and were ashamed. You reminded me sea stars can grow new arms when one is lost. Egyptian myth tells us the heart is made from a single drop of mother's blood during conception. You told me it would be okay, laughed about dying, and we agreed the blood in our hearts had been tainted, that we'd have to live broken, we'd never be starfish. Before they scalpeled the kidney out, I searched a scan on a lit wall in the hospital room, the organ glowing in its torso, an electric yellow donor body, perfectly lopsided. This next poem is called Stone Fruit. You used to bring fruit to bed after we'd make love, stone fruit, a plum or a peach. Naked, we took turns, biting away the skin until the pit exposed itself. Apple was once a generic term to describe different fruits, even some vegetables and nuts. Tomatoes were called love apples. You succumbed to temptation, skewed what it meant to be yours. In my children's Bible, Adam and Eve beneath tree canopies looked toward and away from one another. It wasn't hard, I don't think, for them to share that apple, or was it even an apple at all, when all they knew was each other, gardens and snakes. When we tasted the nectar that clung to the stone's center, there was nothing sweeter than the last taste of not knowing. And the last poem I'm going to read for you is from this new book, Easy Victims to the Charitable Deceptions of Nostalgia. Quick little title. This one has an epigraph. I'm sure some of you all out there know Hanro. This poem is actually for his daughter, and he's in it, so you'll recognize that. But it's called Born Under the Veil, and the epigraph is, the call means that portion of the amnion which occasionally persists unruptured over the child's head when it is born. Such circumstance was believed by the superstition of olden times to foretell luck. My aunt had the call, Hanro tells me, his new daughter's eyes fixed solid on us. That's how I knew she was in the room. She was born face shrouded in the tissue, emerging from and into darkness, a sure sign she could see. Not the way we can. No, our sight is limited. When he was a child in the city, she brought chickens into the apartment, where they'd squawk and jerk across the wooden kitchen floor, competing with his mother's and aunt's voices, the television, the oil speaking in tongues, hot in the skillet. After the dinner, the bones were cleaned and placed in a basket. Once collected there, she'd throw them, one swift motion, to where they'd land on the heavy hide mat, unrolled in the living room. Every divination became truth. He hands his blanketed daughter to me, somehow heavier than an infant should be. The insight of time far greater than her few days here. Her lineage made clearer by her gift, announced as this holy hood was peeled from her face so she could draw her first breath. This is when he felt his aunt in the room. In exchange for the call, for entering the world under the curtain of birthright, blind, she is given second sight, protection from witches and drowning, the ability to bring fertile harvests, to transcend. Born under the weight of these gifts, so much gravity placed upon her infant form, She makes no sound as she's passed to me. I bear her weight like water. She never blinks. And I'm both healed and afraid. So much fortune cradled to my feeble torso. Thank you.
Well, yes.
Emily is the 2024-2026 Key West Poet Laureate. Thank you. She was recently honored at the Library of Congress. Our next poet, Miss Genevieve Espa. Please come on up, Genevieve. Is also a singer-songwriter. She performs around town and has been in Key West about 8 years.
Yeah.
Genevieve.
Hey, thank you. Hi. Thank you so much. Okay, the poem I'm going to read is called For My People, and it's by Margaret Walker. And she wrote it when she was 22. For my people everywhere, singing their slave songs repeatedly, their dirges and their ditties and their blues and jubilees, praying their prayers nightly to an unknown God, bending their knees humbly to an unseen power. For my people lending their strength to the years, to the gone years and the now years and the maybe years, washing, ironing, cooking, scrubbing, sewing, mending, hoeing, plowing, digging, planting, pruning, patching, dragging along, never gaining, never reaping, never knowing, and never understanding. For my playmates in the clay and dust and sand of Alabama backyards, playing, baptizing, and preaching, and doctor, and jail, and soldier, and school, and mama, and cooking, and playhouse, and concert, and store, and hair, and Miss Chumby and company. For the cramped, bewildered years we went to school to learn, to know the reasons why, and the answers to, and the people who, and the places where, and the days when, in memory of the bitter hours when we discovered we were black and poor and small and different, and nobody cared, and nobody wondered, and nobody understood. For the boys and girls who grew in spite of these things to be man and woman, to laugh and dance and sing and play and drink their wine and religion and success, to marry their playmates and bear children and then die of consumption and anemia and lynching. For my people thronging 47th Street in Chicago and Lenox Avenue in New York. Sorry. And Rampart Street in New Orleans, lost, disinherited, dispossessed, and happy people filling the cabarets and taverns and other people's pockets, needing bread and shoes and milk and land and money and something all our own. For my people walking blindly, spreading joy, losing time, being lazy, sleeping when hungry, shouting when burdened, drinking when hopeless, tied and shackled, entangled among ourselves by the unseen creatures who tower over us omnisciently and laugh For my people blundering and groping and floundering in the dark of churches and schools and clubs and societies, associations and councils and committees and conventions, distressed and disturbed and deceived and devoured by money-hungry, glory-craving leeches, preyed on by facile force of state and fad and novelty by false prophet and the holy believer. For my people standing, staring, trying to fashion a better way from confusion, from hypocrisy and misunderstanding, trying to fashion a world that will hold all the people, all the faces, all the Adams and Eves and their countless generations. Let a new earth rise. Let another world be born. Let a bloody peace be written in the sky. Let a second generation full of courage issue forth. Let a people loving freedom come to growth. Let a beauty full of healing and a strength of final clenching be the pulsing in our spirits and our blood. Let the martial songs be written. Let the dirges disappear. Let a race of us now rise and take our control. Thank you.
Thank you, Genevieve. Thanks, Grace. Our next poet is Dawn Cricket Dismaris. Cricket is an interdisciplinary artist, writer, and ecologist whose work explores resilience and restoration in the human and marine ecosystems. She's a graduate student in oceanography at the University of Rhode Island and holds degrees from NYU, the College of the Florida Keys, and the University of New Hampshire. And is a pre-qualified art and public places artist. Her first collection of poems and historic fiction novella called Sweet Harbors and 100 Fires are forthcoming. Her website is sweetharbors.com. Thank you. Take it away, Cricket.
Thank you. That was nice of you to read all that. I'm going to adjust so that I can see what I'm doing. Okay. The first poem, can you hear me?
Yep.
The first poem I'm going to read is kind of a bit old, but it fits the theme for Women's Fest. It's called Pink, and it's also a birth poem. Pink, I think. My mind races with it. Color of things we tend to think sweet. Fragrant mimosa fluttering with bees, the cat's sandpaper tongue licking herself clean, the 5 starry armed starfish in the shallows of sea. But don't think of pink as always soft or sweet. No, these pinks are more than lacy ruffle on a schoolgirl's sweater, the cute hat Aunt Maud made for your baby girl to be. Pinks can be brave and benevolent too, like the inside of conch mollusk, slipping across benthic bottoms, or blown during warfare or worship, its top sawed off, calling all the gods to their side. A ribbon attached to where a breast once was, the video we watched, the newborn crossing over into our oxygen through the ripe pink cervix, thrashing in her own pink newness until tucked up and suckling, the deep pink of placenta expelling itself. Today it's the rash that creeps across my face, a sweeping itchy pink of hormones hustling up the day of my own swelling belly's labor and delivery. My midwife tells me this girl is flamingo-footed inside of me. Her knee juts out, presses into my right side, digging into my ribs that evolution tells me did not come from Adam. Look around, we were all born from pink. Some mother that made us, let us free from pink canals and purple folds, or a long slice down an abdomen, plucked up and out from an amniotic liquid of love. I cannot say how this child will arrive, though I hope she will fly out like those pink birds, gregarious waders that can swim or float when the water gets too deep, drink salt, excrete through glands, travel great lengths to get where they need to go. Now she hiccups, her lungs strengthening for the day she will breathe on her own, clasp her pink mouth on my pink breasts, and drink until we are both washed in pink dream. Think pink, says the dream, before she came to be, before we all came to be, the pink stiff of his and that pink winking shiver of what only a woman can know, can grow. That pink person is now 17 years old next Sunday. Broken. Nothing here is broken. Not the island birds who chirp because they can. Not the cricket's swift tempo on a cool, clear night, or the next day's heavy rain. Not the chug filling with rain while 8 elated faces, weary faces of Cubans race to the shoreline. Victory fists raise high in their exile. Look how happy they are. Nothing in the world is broken. Not the cruise ship with its 6,000 sunburned bodies spilling out to take pictures of palm trees and pelicans dropping like bombs on the silver flash of fish. Not the man panhandling for a sandwich, or more likely a high he can ride to his next night's sleep. Or the storm that formed out at sea while he slept, swept him away in a surge of water and salt and wind. Not the hurricane that came, not the habitats hurled out of whack, not even the thrown boats' propellers slicing the only road in or out. Unlikely scars that now mostly go unnoticed. No, nothing is broken. Not the dog barking at the cat while sisters collect feathers in the yard's jet black night. Not the dingy white curtain covering the window I look out of, and outside of it, stars. Song of the Queen Conch. I have a little bit of obsession, I think, of sea snails. 65 million years have come and gone, and still the queen conch mollusk hobbles across benthic bottoms on one slippery foot. She doesn't get far. She doesn't have to. Her time is spent thickening her shell, a home of road nose at the shoulder of a whirl, where a steel-tough weight of calcium carbonate that won't cave with the crush of jaws that prey. We feed on her body, cut free with a knife we've carved from it, our cravings never satiated. We shape what remains into bracelets and brooches to make us more beautiful, and instruments that send our breath bellowing, begging to be heard. Worship or warfare. With her top sawed off, we deem she calls gods to our side, believe she will ward off evil that still seeks us when placed on our grave. New babes come home to this mollusk atop a stick in the yard, her flaming pink lip announcing arrival. Earthward for boys, skyward for girls. Wreckers rejoiced in her song, a sign of prosperity to come from a ship gone down. If you catch sight of this endangered lady in the seagrass as you swim, lift her to the surface only if you must. Hold her up to the sun, study the golden ratio of her spiral. If she's empty, press her pearl-smooth lips to your ear and listen when the reeling sea inside her says, I was once the soft-bodied sister to the squid. I gave you what you came for. I gave you everything. And one last one to end on a high note, happiness. At the day's end, when I collapse with my bones into bed, I rack my mind to find something beyond the buoyant joy my girls bring. Their small bodies pressed against me heave the weight of day towards flight. What else has been my bliss? Surely there must be something more memorable than the feline purr machine that nuzzles me nightly, or our irreverent dog that gnaws her claws or chases chickens sipping at puddles by the gutter. Something beyond the obvious, something more than 4-pound Hayden mangoes fallen from the tree, more than morning dew on palm fronds, more than the wonky call of ibis and radio songs you can't help but sing to, more than the hurricane hibiscus blossomed, the heady scent of jasmine, a mint green chrysalis fastened to the corner of the porch, tip lined in gold. But what could be better? A letter from a friend, lights left on in the gallery, a dance, cake for days, the shadow love makes when love comes to call, and after it all, the spin of the fan on our skin, the spin of a boat's propeller that takes me across a sea so glassy, fish visibly ripple on the surface more than a mile away. Bliss is swimming down deep into the holy silence. It's the horizon line above it, blurred and blended into sky, invisible to the eye, and the clouds, always moving, always changing. This simple rhapsody of happiness so clear and so strong, why does remembering take me so long? Thank you.
Thank you, Cricket. Woo! We've got so many great poets among us. Thank you, Cricket. Cricket doesn't make it out to the Key West Poetry Guild very often, so it's really rare that I get to hear your work, and I'm really glad that you're here tonight. Thank you. Oh, okay. So I missed last month. And she was there. Okay. Our next poet this evening is also participating in the visual art show that we have in the hallway there. Bethany Rodden has been reading with the Key West Poetry Guild for a little while now. She's been pretty regularly attending our monthly open mics. She describes herself as having a love affair with Key West that spans back to 1982, 2 weeks after dropping out of art classes at Missouri State. She says thousands of nautical miles and 20 years in Arizona later, she's back to stay and has called the island home for the last 2 years. Her spontaneous approach to writing in watercolor bodes well in the historic city of infinite creativity. By nature, she's drawn to simplicity, function over form, with little to no planning involved. Poet, she regularly reads her original poetry with the KWPG, Key West Poetry Guild.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? So I was pretty sure I didn't like poetry until I took a little class over at the library. I thought I was a creative writer, and then I found that poetry helps me capture those moments, those special moments where you can't really write a novel about it. So my poetry tonight is about moments. This moment is when I dropped my art class, and it's called calcium white. The definition of calcium white is a white pigment often characterized by a warm tonality and significant transparency. I believe you heard my polite knock, yours a significant choice to ignore, mine a brief smile sent across the pane of glass, not convincing, yet perhaps. A nervous long pause to collect our thoughts, to blend college syllabus protocols and dropping your class. My reason transparent, but not. I've decided to move to Florida tomorrow. A spring day of perspective warmth characterized by a staccato line between instructor and student. My paintings resting within your studio, stacks of layered acrylic on canvas, for boxes and shadows you posed. I'm not interested in a painting that looks real. I want to see what you feel. Ignoring your request to wait doesn't erase the memory nor the look of your leather shoes. Florida will always be there. Was in the breath that stumbled softly down my cheeks, trembling past the pen within my hand, onto the calcium white, concrete, art annex floors. I promised. Someday I'll return and paint again. This next poem is about a few moments. I grew up in the country. I love cats. I had lots of cats with lots of different names. And now I get to spend time with cats over at the shelter. And so this poem was written during April Poetry Month, and the prompt was to pick a song and write a poem. And this song I like to play for my cat friends over at the shelter. When a young girl names a cat, the name of it is called Country Roads, Take Me Home by John Denver. When a young girl names a cat, is it the lonesome dirt road or a piano recital that pushes her beyond her country roots to think of food and name her cat? Potato, you handsome little man, the Siamese son of Julie and Jacques. We were both prone to the young and the restless. Your kitten eyes bluer than water. A runt, my fat Nana decided, too burdened to sell when dropped into my hands. I'll take you home, where we belong. Are you okay if you're a potato? I don't recall if you ran when I serened Ivory Keys and sang about mountain mamas and days of misty taste and moonshine. But your gray-tipped ears and blue eyes were just like John Denver's Almost Heaven Sky. 45 years later, and a long ways from country roads and my piano, Potato went gone and I flew the coop. Falafel, your demeanor is so different, but I feel a song. A dark reputation you hiss and slap until I place a towel on the ground and invite you to sing along. Life is older than the trees. Is that why they named you Falafel? Or is it because your toots smell of garbanzos? Whatever the reason for your name, Falafel, you belong. Someday I'll bring you home, where country girls love potatoes, pianos, cats, and tropical palms.
Oh, yes.
All right, so I'm going to take a chance on this one. Poetry, like I said, can capture a moment, and it can also capture a moment and take all the filters off. And so this is a moment, and it's without filters, and it's for her. Racetrack station pumping gas. Saturday morning, endorphins surging, running with Carol. Get the gas, head home just in time to make mass. Icy Subway sandwiches, styrofoam chest galore. Last stop for the bathroom, snag a bag of chips. Welcome to Racetrack. Thank you for holding the door. Sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. Fish biting, want to catch a fish with a tan or guys on the hook. Get the car rolling, another fast weekend, these are keys are mine. I need to get home. Racetrack, crisscross, coleslaw with stone crab sounds good. Another busy weekend in the fabulous Florida Keys. Whew, now in my car, door pulled quietly shut. Lipstick in the mirror, adjust the temp, shift into drive, don't want to think about the traffic but. Slow wind breeze around the pumps, cars, Subway sandwiches and such. Let those cars on the highway go byway, I need some 70s rock. Waiting my turn to turn into traffic. 3 cars in front, patiently hold tight. Click, click, click. Truck red on right. Bicycle yellow like an arrow, backpack, body in flight. Oh. Front of truck slams side of bike. Oh no, I can't breathe. Hold the door, close the chips, a fatality is happening. I can't watch. Don't want to hear. Tires run over in slow motion. One very long second. All pull near. This is 911. What is your emergency? I've heard that sometimes time stands still. Maybe that was the case, or maybe it wasn't. The roar of ice chests packed full, sunshine and sandbars, ATMs for $100 bills, a low, low roar. She's alive. Barely alive, coming undone like a dandelion in bad weather beginning to drift. An insulated door closes between you and them. Them
gas station sandwiches in the wind, let them go, get in their cars, I don't know. And you, oh my God, you are still faintly alive. I'd say minutes left of your life based on my educated guess. Who cares about education? You are dying. Under a truck, under a truck, front axle pressing on the side of your head, smashed, trapped. I don't want to look at your exposed brain. What do I do with a splintered spine, shattered neck? We need a CAT scan. Twisted limbs. I'm not used to this. Give me a hospital where I've trained, but this is the real thing and you are on hot pavement. I am so fucking scared. But it's not me that is dying, it is you. Roadblock, ambulance en route. Not the best place to meet, but here we are. Fingers and palms clenched as new friends traveling afar. We've got a whole lot of love to pack into such a short amount of time. You are loved, by the way. So very, very loved. Not going to whisper it because a light like yours is so bright. A blinding brilliance of light, reducing the gravel of asphalt smushed into your forehead, a passing pathetic event. I say it out loud, you are loved, so very loved. And if you can't hear me, I'll tell you by stroking your arm, brush aside the grit, softness, merciful love, sacred hope. Somewhere I've known you forever, and I'll meet you again, dear Jesus, but for now, here we are. Sirens muffled, boots by the dozen. The dead are here to take you. It's my time. I believe it is.
Thank you, Bethany. Our next poet is the fearless leader of the Womenfest event, Miss Fritzie Esmond. She's a Key West resident of 15 years. When she's not working, volunteering, or trying her hand at acting, she enjoys a little bit of poetry. And so, although she hasn't considered herself a poet, she takes pleasure in reading the works of poets who have made both societal and personal impacts. Welcome, Fritzie.
Thank you. Bring this lower. I wrote this poem on a whim just to align with the theme Divas Through the Decades, so forgive this rough draft. It's Divas Through the Decades is the title. Divas are never just voices. They are fire, they are movement, they are revolution. In the 60s, Aretha demanded respect, not just for herself, but for every woman, every Black American, a song that still fuels us today. The 70s spun beneath the disco ball. Diana Ross, shimmering in sequins, turned the dance floor into freedom, a place where everyone belonged. The 80s broke the rules in neon. Madonna told us, be bold, be different, live without permission. The 90s took flight. Whitney Houston's voice soared to heaven. Mariah Carey's range shattered limits. Together, they showed women could reach higher than anyone imagined. The 2000s crowned Beyonce, a superstar, yes, but also a leader. She taught us that strength and pride can live side by side with artistry. The 10s brought Lady Gaga, turning pain into performance and proving that being different is divine. And today, Lizzo celebrates everybody. Adele gives us raw truth in every note. And Taylor Swift, she took heartbreak and hope and turned them into anthems for her generation. She showed us that vulnerability is power. Decade by decade, diva by diva, they gave us anthems, they gave us courage, they gave us joy. So let us raise our hands, our hearts, our voices to celebrate divas past, present, and those still to come. Because as long as there is music, a diva song will never be done. Thank you. And my second and final poem is by the incomparable Nikki Giovanni. This is Woman Poem. You see, my whole life is tied up to unhappiness. It's father cooking breakfast and me getting fat as a hog, or having no food at all, and father proving his incompetence again. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. It's having a job they won't let you work, or no work at all, castrating me. Yes, it happens to women too. It's a sex object if you're pretty and no love, or love and no sex if you're fat. Get back, fat black woman, to be a mother. Grandmother, strong thing, but not woman. Games woman, romantic woman, lover needer, man seeker, dick eater, and sweat getter, fuck needing love seeking women. It's a hole in your shoe and buying Lil Sis a dress and her saying, you shouldn't, when you know all too well that you shouldn't. But smiles are only something we give to properly dressed social workers, not each other. Only smiles of I know your game, sister, which isn't really a smile. Joy is finding a pregnant roach and squashing it. Not finding someone to hold, let go, get off, get back, don't turn me on that black dog. How dare you care about me? You ain't no good, you ain't got no good sense. Cause I ain't shit and you must be lower than that to care. It's a filthy house with yesterday's watermelon and Monday's tears. Cause true ladies don't know how to clean. It's intellectual devastation of everybody to avoid emotional commitment. Yeah, honey, I would have married him, but he didn't have no degree. It's not need mini-skirted, wig-wearing, dyed blonde mama scar. Born dead, my scorn, your whore, rough-heeled, broken-nailed, powdered. Face me, whose whole life is tied up to unhappiness, cause it's the only for real thing I know. Thank you.
Yes.
Woo, woo, woo. Thank you, Fritzy. Our next poet is Fritzy's other half, Chantal Pavageau. Chantal is a writer, director, performer, and visual artist. She founded La La Festival, a week of performances and interactive art, and co-founded Inheritance Theater Project, a national company devising plays in the pursuit of social justice. She trained at NYU Tisch and has worked for the Drama League of New York, the Guthrie Theater, Mobile Minds, and Theater de la Jeune Lune. Welcome, Chantal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
So my name is Chantal Pavageau, and I'm going to read two poems today. One of them, the first one I wrote, and then the second one I'll tell you who wrote it when I read it. Okay, so the first poem is called How to Make Scrambled Eggs. Step 1, procure chicken. Step 2, spend time with her, getting to know her tastes and preferences. House and care for her, respecting previously mentioned preferences. Upon successful oviparity, secure eggs. Express gratitude for her hard work and sacrifice. Step 3, contemplate your life and mortality. Which came first? Contemplate. How many times have you eaten an egg? How many times have you been in a room with eggs? How many times have you been in a room with eggs without knowing there were eggs in the room? I once ate eggs every day for 3 months. I'd whip them with a little bit of cream and salt in a hot pan for a few minutes and then slide them onto a bed of spinach I'd buy at the bodega in Brooklyn where a boy broke my heart in the 90s. He had soft hands and a big dick, but he said he preferred blondes. He was not, in fact, a gentleman. I named my first chicken after him, so I could take pleasure in slaughtering her when she stopped laying. But she became my favorite, and I kept her as a pet long after she exceeded her productivity. Step 4, contemplate How many eggs in a butcher's dozen? That's it.
I love that. Yeah.
And then the next poem I'm going to read is by Andrea Gibson, and it is called Homesick, A Plea for Our Planet. In the 5th grade, I won the science fair with a project on climate change that featured a paper mache ozone layer with a giant hole through which a paper mache sun cancered the skin of a Barbie in a bikini on a lawn chair, glaciers melting like ice cubes in her lemonade. It was 1987 in a town that could have invented red hats, but the school principal gave me a gold ribbon and not a single bit of attitude about my radical political stance. Because neither he nor I knew it was a political stance. Science had not been fully framed as leftist propaganda. The president did not have a Twitter feed starving the world of facts. I spent that summer as I had spent every summer before, racing through the forest behind my house down the path my father called the old logging road, to a meadow thick with raspberry bushes whose thorns were my very first heroes, because they did nothing with their life but protect what was sweet. Sundays I went to church, but struggled to call it prayer if it didn't leave grass stains on my knees. Couldn't call it truth if it didn't come with a dare to crawl into the cave by the creek and stay put until somebody counted all the way to 100. As a kid, I thought 100 was the biggest number there was. My mother absolutely blew my mind the day she said 101. 100 and what? Billionaires never grow out of doing that same math with years. Can't conceive of counting past their own lifespans, believe the world ends the day they do. Why are the keys to our future in the hands of those who have the longest commutes from their heads to their hearts? Whose greed is the smog that keeps us from seeing our own nature and the sweetness we are here to protect? Do you know, sometimes when gathering nectar, bees fall asleep in flowers? Do you know fish are so sensitive, snowflakes sound like fireworks when they land on the water? Do you know sea otters hold hands when they sleep so they don't drift apart? Do you know whales will follow their injured friends to shore, often taking their own lives so to not let a loved one be alone when he dies? None of this is poetry. It is just the earth being who she is, in spite of us putting barcodes on the sea. In spite of us acting like Edison invented daylight. Dawn presses her blushing face to my window, asks me if I know the records in my record collection look like the insides of trees. Yes, I say, there is nothing you have ever grown that isn't music. You were the bamboo in Coltrane's saxophone reed, the mulberries that fed the silkworms that made the slippers for the ballet, the pine that built the loom that wove the hemp for Frida Kahlo's canvas, the roses that dyed her paint, hoping her brush could bleed for her body. Who, more than the earth, has bled for us? How do we not mold our hearts after the first spruce tree who raised her hand and begged to be cut into piano keys so the elephants can keep their tusks? The earth is the right side of history, is the canyon my friend ran to when no one else he knew would echo his chosen name back to him, is the wind that wailed through 1956 Alabama until the poplar trees carved themselves into Dr. King's pulpit, is the volcano that poured the mercury into the thermometers held under the tongue of Italy, though she knew our fever was why her canals were finally running clear. She took our temperature, told us we were too hot, even after we'd spent decades claiming she was not. Our hands held to her burning forehead. We insisted she was fine, while wildfires turned redwoods to toothpicks, readying the teeth of our apocalypse. She sent a smoke signal all the way from California and New York City. Ash fell from the sky. Do you know the mountains of California used to look like they'd been set on fire because they were so covered in monarch butterflies? Do you know monarch butterflies migrate 3,000 miles using only the fuel they stored as caterpillars in the cocoon? We need so much less than we take. We owe so much more than we give. Squirrels plant thousands of trees every year just from forgetting where they left their acorns. If we aimed to be just half as good as one of the earth's mistakes, we could turn so much around. Our living would be seed, the future would have roots. We would cast nothing from the garden of itself, and we would make the thorns proud. Woo!
Thank you, Chantel. That was beautiful. What a wonderful selection. Our next poet has been reading with the Key West Poetry Guild for a few years now, and this is, I believe, her second year as a featured poet for a Womenfest reading event. Please welcome Sakai Katia Hatep. Kahita Hatep, excuse me, if this went too much. Sakai serves as chief priestess in the House of Leopard, and which is an initiation school for women with spiritual calling. Her muses are her heroines. They are Isis, Nzinga, and Mother Nandi. She writes for them and all their daughters. Thank you, Sakai. Welcome.
Thank my ancestral mothers and my ancestral fathers. Can everyone hear me okay?
No.
No.
Testing? Better?
Yeah, better.
All right. First, I want to say thank you to Fritzy and all your cohorts for doing what you do and providing a safe space for women to vibe. Thank you, Sister Vicky, John Love, for organizing this and doing all that you do. And a shout out to my bestie, Sister Rita. Her birthday is today. Thank you for showing me how to walk in Key West. Ashe. Women at the well. Women at the well, go get your husband. It's how we get from this crude earth to the sun, from this dark age to golden, beholden to no evils of ego or sloth, motivated by the pure love of God. Anathema his name now. So much hatred for his yard now. We look to Miriam and Isis to remember what devotion looks like in bleak and somber times when war is at our door in myriad forms. We reach down into our wombs and pull out a savior or two. That's what we're here for, divine feminine, sacred feminine, you living, breathing door to God. The I am. I am the serpent he charms, the undulating waves of Om. Together we vibrate Milky Ways into being, our thoughts form. This is the Rubik's Cube, hidden cipher, calm to hyper, running gamuts from emotional to stoic, mystic poet. I am the serpent he's charming. This is the quantum question monks meander around in their one mind, source hive, bringing back honey to their queen. I am the unseen. I am perceiving, receiving, being, Vedanta. Arumula, Sur, Yeshua, God's living word, phallic ascendancy reaching up and through and because of yoni base. Like beach and sea giving root to the sky, we collide. I am the serpent, he's charming. To the point I am no longer I, mind merged with mind, fruit of transcendental union, contact of the fifth kind. Be not the writer, but what's written, read flute like Rumi, undying. I receive what you putting down, cross stained with blood, thorny crown, made in his image, every knee bows. The serpent he's charming is us, paradise found. This third poem is about women who are precluded from killing in certain African traditional religions. Only men can kill. In Ifa land, they say only men can work the pots of justice, kill the bad ones, the sinners, execute the evil, but I know every womb to be both graveyard and potter's kiln. Everything born of man dies, and they die through me. I am a valley of bones, Dumavati, riding on the back of black crows, Kali wearing skulls, and Mother Eve atop a pile of biblically descended bodies and rigor mortis while wearing a serpent round the neck. They live and die through me, humanity. I see and hear them suffer in car wrecks, murder and misery, laugh at birthdays, imbibing the weed for stolen reverie. But the truth is we are all born to suffer because mother ate that fruit. I see jackals and vultures picking the remnants clean. This life can be mean, but this womb can bear Cain's and Abel's. Christ and Krishna's, Horus Haru to set the garden back to right, brush the moldy stench of death's decay off the white linen tablecloth and place the fine china just so. I may not be the murderer, but surely I'm complicit when I take the seed of dead men in. Bring me the seed of life from the tree of life. Anointed heirs, water walkers, Lazarus revivers, flute players, demon slayers, holy men and women made of light, who can clear the broken, aborted ulnas and spines and femurs out of our sacred wombs. I am not a tomb. Make me like Miriam, like Isis I set, give us a reset. I am here to birth the warrior sage. We are here. Ring the bells and set the stage. This golden age is upon us.
Woo-hoo.
This one's a little sweeter. I want to bathe you. Drip water, honey, tongue, and teeth over those toes. Let oils dance across your back on fingers that seek your moans. Watch your breathing rise and fall like ocean waves cresting against my shores. Want to get lost in you for a weekend, staycation inside your pores. Sense of lang lang and rose inundating your senses in simultaneous crescendo, then ebbing, taking you close, but forcing you to reconsider, remembering God in the pause, hearing angels applaud at the way we love we. Last one. Khufu, Khafre, Ishaka, kings of Abidjan, Zulu, Timbuktu, spreading life again, cross of our ancestors, up out the sand, holy stools established in this land, weighing truth like Solomon, wielding justice like Orun, sword tongue and honey room, rebirthing sun and moon, Isis and her son Haru, lap of lapis, golden hued eye of a star, mounted, holy drip, imbued.
Woo.
Thank you, Sister Sakai. Oh, the power of woman. Our next poet is a seasoned poet of the Key West Poetry Guild. She has led our ranks throughout the years. She publishes us, and she will entertain you. Please welcome Ms. Sherry Lord. Sherry sailed into Key West from San Francisco in 1986 and never sailed away. As proprietor of Sea Story Press, she's published many books by local authors. Sherry's poetry has appeared in local and national publications, and she is a two-time winner of the Robert Frost Poetry Competition.
Oh, woo! Yes!
She is among the poets published with books on the table in the lobby, so if you'd like to check that out at the end of the event, please see one of us. We will help you with that.
As a vertically challenged reader here, I'm wondering, can this come out of its stand? Cordless mic's a wonderful thing. The first piece I want to read, I've picked a couple of things from the vaults, but to honor women in history in Key West. There was a woman by the name of Barbara Maberty, who was Key West's longest serving lighthouse keeper. And she came down here from St. Augustine with her husband to keep the lighthouse. He only lasted a few years and up and died on her. And she ran it for another, I think, 30 or 40 years. And this piece is, I've kind of written it in a style that sort of harkens back to the era. And it's called The Lighthouse Keeper. Barbara married a mariner, and so became kin to the sea. A sister-in-law to salty air, to tides and breakers on the reef. Her Michael got the word about an opportunity on a spit of land on the lip of the Gulf in the Florida Territory. So she packed up their goods and kids, and they charted their course aright to Key West. Fresh as a landed fish, they came to keep the light. Wreckers and adventurers and sailors of every sort were making their homes and fortunes in this warm Caribbean port. The Mabrys flourished with the town and prospered in their trade, polishing lenses, oiling the lamps, climbing the tower each day, until Michael took the fever and lost his final fight, leaving her 6 young mouths to feed, leaving Barbara to keep the light. 38 years she labored, doing what she must to guide the ships to harbor, her calling, her sacred trust. The children grew, and her hair grew gray, but her legs and her back were strong, and she kept the beacon burning through fair nights and through storms. She weathered them all, until 46, the year the hurricane's might took 5 of her family and 9 of her friends in the wreckage of the light. But Barbara survived. She took up her post when the new lighthouse was raised. She faithfully kept it lit all through the war between blue and gray. But in 80 years of living, she'd never held her tongue. And she wasn't about to hold it now, even after the Union won. The victors were hard with the vanquished, and she said it wasn't right. Well, the politicians postured and posed and took Barbara from the light. At 83, she was ready enough. Her skein was nearly spun. Yet after all, her legacy was really just begun. The keepers who came after her were all her kith and kin, her grandchildren and their families, and 2 more strong women, illuminating that century when Key West was new and bright, with promise and independent spirit. Barbara kept the light. Woo. And a lady of another sort, suitable for our season this summer, Royal Poinciana. On Labor Day, her head wreathed in the holy aura of the last burger smoke of summer, we could not help but notice her hair. I fear your roots are showing, dear. Do you recall the stir she made when she appeared Memorial Day wearing that totally stunning shade? Well, it certainly took one's breath away. Even if good old Dad had shot an entire can of charcoal lighter into the grill, it could not be as hot as that astonishing red, and surely burn no brighter. Royally proclaiming summer, she will amaze the immigrants and tourists with that audacious display, and wear a few curls of color in her coiffure on summer's last day. Poinciana teaches the jubilance of a vermilion entrance, of bleeding melodrama, sanguine vaudeville, lurid burlesque, on a burgundy velvet proscenium. Then exit wearing soft green plumes draped with graceful languor, as by the hand of a Parisian milliner of some more golden time. Your impeccable timing gave us laughter and titillation and something short of surfeit. Demonstrating authentic royalty, you glide into this earlier twilight as a temple priestess passing behind the veils, and leave the tattoo of that incredible red printed inside our closed eyelids. And another little taste of summer. Mangoes and mockingbirds. Cataracts of notes and trills and Tiny melodies tumble from trees and shrubs and fence posts. Black eyes fearlessly regard every passerby from a bare arm's length. Gray and white wings flare and attack dogs and hawks with furious bravado. They are drunk on warm air and compelled to fecundity. The same long hours of sunlight blush the skins of pendant mangoes. Dagger leaves have darkened and grow dense, and those fruits not blown down in the early winds swell and perform the alchemy of turning the flat seed's womb golden and soft and thick with sugar. The north end of the planet turns its face into Mother Sun, and poincianas blaze, and tarpons swim in close to shore, and soon the lizards will flash their bright throat flags, and the coral will spawn on some moonlit night. And didn't this just happen? Weren't we just here? Summers seem to crowd one another and dive like the martial birds and drop and split like ripe fruit, come and gone before you know it.
Thank you, Sherry. Fantastic. Yay. Our next poet is Sarah Goodwin. Sarah is a 20-year full-time resident of the Florida Keys, where she guides kayak and paddleboard tours and works for the Key West Wildlife Center. Her poetry was most recently published in Decimos, We Say, which was a local Key West literary magazine, Fish Food, and the anthology Key West I Love You, an anthology of love poems. Welcome, Sarah Goodwin.
Thank you. All right, I'm just going to do 3 poems tonight. Thank you guys for staying. So let's start with the first woman. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Thank you. In Eden. In Eden, when the insects were screaming in the fields in high summer, when the honey was aching to be taken, the skies filled with white wings, the fruit fell in pink piles on the orchard floor. Remember how it was before the trees were cut, before the rivers pitched their guts? Giant beasts with slow feet rocked us to sleep. My lover kept me naked, the bounty of our bodies not yet spent to ashes. I didn't just bite the apple. I licked its juices from my fingers. I was a dancing Cretan girl, and I reached for the universe. I was tempting and tempted and not afraid of snakes. I saw we were spirit. Bodies became pillars of white. The sea gave off the same light, as did trees, birds, everything singing. Despite what you've heard, I had a mother. She sang to me in the slosh of the sea, in bird song, even as the machines rumbled, even when the garden revealed a trap door, and I saw our lot was built to go toppling. She sang until there was nothing left of her but bone. So the Poetry Guild did a friendship anthology not long ago, and I didn't have a poem at the time to submit to it, but I read it, I was inspired. I wrote a poem for a friend that I lost recently. So this poem is called Party Girl, and it's for Ash. I liked you first, I saw you, pregnant on top of luscious legs. You asked me for cocaine. I said, absolutely not. You said, how about weed? I said, okay. Remember my 33rd birthday? You fell off the pool table and kept dancing as if on fire in that dress. I have a photo of us 10 years later. You'd left your husband, I'd left mine. I saw you a lot, or we didn't speak months at a time. Here we are, wearing cute hats. Remember my 49th birthday, COVID lockdown, like quieter versions of ourselves. You baked me a cake in the chaos. And here was my family. Here she was again at Christmas with the rest of the crew. You texted me the night before you died. What you doing tonight? My last text. I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. My last text, too late. But I thought maybe it wasn't true. I typed the first 3 letters of your name, ? Party girls grow. She's a wife, a teacher, a mother, a nurse, a slut, a saint, a mess, a burning pyre, an electric guitar in the middle of a disco song. Girl, I was at that party. I was at all the parties. I knew some of us wouldn't get old. Others would age awfully. Some faded, folded into normal lives. Friends died from AIDS, overdoses, rare cancers. You just stepped off the edge, as if the world no longer required you. But I tell you, this planet needs party girls. They are the fiercest friends you'll ever find. You know these party girls can be gracious and kind. They say, you are allowed to be a mess, and I will stay. You're allowed to be dark, bitter, bite. Just call me when you get back, bitch. Bless the friend who bakes the cake and introduces you to everyone, who keeps dancing when they fall, who brings tequila to the movies, who loves you even when the lights come up and you've no idea which way is home. We got some party girls out here. So the last one, it's a little lighter on the surface, but it's really about being left for another woman. Speaking of mermaids, her skin is cooler than yours. Her eyes, bluer. Only it isn't about her, but about your unleashing. Tell me again how numinous her neck bone, and God, have you seen her eat a mango? Let your house crumble into the sea. Starve the children, no one will blame you. Beware of things that call to you like sirens. Think of all those slippery wrecks, easy pills and floozy fruity drinks. All that chasing tail, but when she disappears and all that's left in your hand is a swath of skin, what then?
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Sarah was instrumental in helping to select the pieces by Connie Gilbert, which were featured in our recent Key West Poetry Guild anthology, Getting By with a Little Help from Your Friends, which is available in the lobby. At this time, I'd like to ask Liz Levi from Key West Now to come on up and talk with us just a little bit. She's got the scholarship to tell us about, which is the beneficiary of our event this evening. And then once Liz has finished, I will show you what I got. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. I'm Liz Levi, and I'm from the Key West chapter of the National Organization for Women. And we are the sponsors of the Connie Gilbert Scholarship Fund. Some of you who are here, who are a little bit older, might remember Connie. She was a real activist in Key West and a real champion of various humanitarian causes. She was also one of the founders of the Key West chapter of NOW, and also of the ACLU, the Lower Keys League of Women Voters, and a number of other organizations, including Equality Florida. She was also a professor before she retired at Rutgers University in New Jersey. Well, the scholarship fund was originally started in Connie Gilbert's honor. And what it seeks to do is to help female identifying people who live in the Florida Keys and who want to make some changes in their lives, whether that's returning to school from the workplace or seeking a professional license or certification, or going back to college. An applicant who wants to finish their education needs to have at least 1 year of higher education. So the scholarship has now been offered for 7 years, and it has donated to the around over $50,000 to the education of young people here, and not so young. In the first year, scholarships amounted to $4,000, but in the past 2 years, we've been able to give scholarships amounting to $10,000. The recipients this year, we had a wide variety of applications, and those who got the scholarship range from college students going back to school to a new mother who is training as a birth and pregnancy doula. So, and our applicants are of every age, race, color, ethnic group that's represented in the Keys. So we rely, to make these scholarships available, we rely on donations and various activities that we engage in during the year. We sponsor a lot of fun stuff, you know. We have a film festival in March and orchid auctions. We also have drag bingo and vibrator races. So, you know, those vibrator races are pretty successful. So, you know, the donations are so important to us. So we're very thankful to the Women's Fest and all who participated in it for making us the recipient of this event, of donations to this event. We're very thankful for that. It will be reflected in our budget for the next scholarships, and you know, we're very appreciative. We have a table in the hallway, you know, on your way out if you want to stop by and chat a little bit, and as always, our donation box is right there.
Thank you, Liz. So I am going to take a moment to read one of Connie's poems. As I said, these were selected by Sarah, who is a daughter of Connie's. And I gotta fix myself here. I have two microphones and you still can't hear me. I think I want this one. Okay. So the poem of Connie's that I'm going to read is here in our new Key West Poetry Guild anthology, Getting By with a Little Help from Our Friends. And it is called Old Mariner, Old Love by Connie Gilbert. Old mariner, old love, it's come to this. These days, it's just at sea you sleep in peace. No suffocated snores, no outflung arms, no turns this way and that to find at last the bed's diagonal. Beside you here once more, aboard another vessel of our dearest, noblest dreams, adventure and new tricks for two old dogs. A round dawn lurks beyond the stateroom's portholes, and at last I rise to write the work you taught me well. And still asleep, you sense I've stood and asked if I am well. Yes, dear old salt.
I am this morning very, very well indeed. By Connie Gilbert. And so I am Vicki Boguszewski. I am known as the poet Ja Love, and I serve as the de facto executive director for the Key West Poetry Guild. Let's see, I don't want to go too much into my own bio stuff. I have a master's in public health from Florida International University, Bachelor of Arts from Temple University. Sakai is also from Philly. We have that much in common. I also hold a graduate professional certificate from the University of Florida in applying arts-based methods to public health. And I say all that to say this. These times they are a-changin', as a great poet once said. And we need the arts to continue to be a resilient human family. Self-expression is fundamental to mental wellness and cultural mental health. Poetry may not solve the housing or economic crisis, resolve the war on American immigrants, or slow the global warming threatening the tomorrows of our children. However, holding space for creative expression, for the creative expressions of women and girls, will give voice and platform to the thinkers and idea makers who will pave the ways toward viable solutions for a resilient human family. So with that, I say to you, mad woman poet, daring to dream, putting thought into action, you appear so extreme. Mad woman poet, going beyond and back again, loaded with metaphor, but alone without a friend. You shock them, you scare them, they must question themselves. Are they the problem being stocked on the shelves? No one can answer. Before long, you're gone. Mad woman poet, dancing through life and coming on strong. Mad woman poet, you daily take the stage, devouring experience and putting it on the page. Mad woman poet, so often out of line. Mad woman poet, your place on earth divine. Mad woman poet, out there on your own, defining your reality, outlandish in your tone. Mad woman poet, whose spirit seems to drift. Do the world a favor, shout from rooftops with your gift. As we have all been inspired by the women writers before us, we will inspire the next generation of women writers. And so this poem is for a young lady named Addie, who is going to college to be a writer. Right, we know she'll be all kinds of things in addition to being a writer. For Addie. Inky black sky blankets the ravings of my humanity with stars. Orion sashays across the horizon, his belt glimmering, sword drawn and raised in defense of art, in defense of poetry. This is a little prose piece that I wrote for tonight, and it's called Be Jubilant. Two themes are prevailing in my thoughts and consequently my writing this year. They are related to power, both in its benevolent and authoritarian forms. Pope Francis has declared 2025 a year of Jubilee just prior to his death, calling all Catholics and the whole human family to deepen and strengthen their faith. Simultaneously, 2025 is the year of the implementation of Project 25, a biased agenda based on fascist supremacy and authoritarian order. It defends the point of view, you will be because I say you are, rather than the Afrocentric Ubuntu perspective, which expounds the point of view, I am because you are.
Mutual dependency is discarded in the name of economic, homogenetically focused supremacy, aiming a deeply arching blow, wounding the democratic foundation, requiring an introspective review of works like that of Lawrence Ferlinghetti's, a man whose writing spanned a century. Poetry as insurgent art. Be jubilant. Give voice to your personal, faithful insurgency. In Poetry as Insurgent Art, Lawrence Ferlinghetti wrote, "Poetry is the truth that reveals all lies, the face without mascara," inspiring these next two poems. Naked eyes glimmer. Naked eyes glimmer, but do not command attention, like mascaraed eyes. The bride with lashes became the newest Disney princess. The bride without lashes drives the Uber. It's the peace behind the eyes that is the stuff of poetry, the milky tears of the aged, the first taste of salt in a tear of an infant. Life needs no mascara with poetry as its foundation. The second piece, Swinging on the Pendulum. Writing poems to be read by generations unborn, I assure and console myself with, they will know I was driven mad by the madness. I have swung on Foucault's pendulum in iterations positive and negative, infinitely, eternally divine, risen in the chaotic cosmic order to I am. And the next piece was written in response to the 2024 election results. Pending silence. Lies? I won't write about lies, about a false narrative or altered reality. I howl. Truth has always been my calling. Forgive the pending silence. These are not the times of truth. And finally, because it is a language unto itself, poetry. Poetry, poetry. Versions of poetic pictures varying by minds, created by souls, spoken by mouths. Lips stretched, far out chords, vocalized by you and me. Rhythms read, rocked minds, bleeding words in time to tunes, spoken decade after decade on our unholy thrones. Poets deriding time, repeating fresh ideas and snap, bip, bip, bap, boom, boom, bam. That's jazzatry and poetry and slam. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Poet, poet. Why, yes, I am. And no, thank you. I do not like eggs or ham. A veggie, vegetarian, Rastafarian, the child of God, a poet inside my bod. A voice, a woman's voice. Hear it. Hear her. Poetry. Thank you. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. May the collective, beautiful voices of the women poets this evening resonate with you throughout the remainder of Womenfest and sustain you until next year's reading. We hope to see you in 2026. Artists and poets, please approach the stage for photos. And if there are folks who would like to take photos of us, please hang out for a second or two. Please view and support the art and artworks in the side lobby here, side hallway, as well as on the table in the lobby. And please donate generously to the scholarship fund. Thank you again, everyone. Poets and artists, please gather for a photo.
need someone else to swim. I'll take care of it.